Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Kabbalat Shabbat today, which is the earliest Shabbat, the earliest Kabbalat Shabbat we're having. Next week it'll be all of 2 minutes, 2 minutes later, which is amazing. I'd like to especially welcome Rabbi Shlomo Gerzi and his bunch of friends who are joining us. You're very welcome, all of you, today, and also in the future if you want to come. So that would be lovely. We're going to start, as always, with a Devar Torah, and today we're honored to have Leigh Lewis giving it to us. Over to you, Leigh.
Thank you very much. Honored, I like the word. Good Shabbos, everybody. What a week it's been. Last Shabbos, last weekend, we heard about the downfall of the Assad regime in Syria. 50 years of tyranny, 50 years of abusing the population, of a war, of a civil war, where what was carried out on the population was a disgrace. And what we're hearing now from the journalists reporting it, it's as if they didn't know it was happening. They didn't know that there had been bombings in residential areas, cluster bombs. They didn't know there had been attacks of sarin gas on the population. They didn't know about these things. They said, we knew about them, but they didn't report them. They also didn't know about the prisons, the torture, how thousands and thousands of people were tortured to death just because they may have opposed the regime. And these journalists stopped reporting on it. They actually didn't bother to follow the news, to inform and to highlight and to get things done. It's a disgrace. They concentrated, they took the easy target, the easy option. They decided to pick on a country to the south and to the southwest of Syria. Everyone can attack Israel, it's easy. It's much better news, it's more newsworthy, no problems of any reprisals and that kind of thing. What the journalists did in the lack of reporting of Syria, the blood of the Syrian people are on their hands for not pursuing it, for not taking a line where the officials had to do something. Later this week, in fact, just a couple of days ago, we had the horrendous verdict to the trial of about the murder of that poor 10-year-old little girl, that bubbling personality of Sarah Sharif, who was murdered by her father and her stepmother. And what we've heard is that it wasn't just a fit of pique that got her murdered. This had been going on, her mistreatment had been going on for 2 years. She'd been burnt, tied up. I can't even go into the details, it's too upsetting. And yet, the social workers did nothing. There's a lot of excuses, overwork, understaffed, but they actually abandoned her and did nothing. They let her down, and she suffered 2 years. A beautiful little girl, her soul, a perfect little soul, and she suffered and she died. That's what happens when you do nothing. When you do nothing, bad people take over. In this week's Sidra, we read the story of Dinah. Dinah is the daughter of Jacob. She's got 12 older brothers. Can you imagine what the hand-me-downs were like? She didn't have dresses. She had jeans and t-shirts. She didn't play with dolls. She played football and cricket in the back garden. Well, you know what I mean, but she was all... So it's a very good chance that the people from Shechem who befriended her actually thought she was a boy because she dressed like a boy and she behaved like a boy. If you think I'm making it up, I'm not. The Torah description of the episode calls her a young girl, and it uses the word na'ara, which is the feminine version of the word na'a. Na'a is a young boy, nun ayin reish, and a young girl is na'ara, nun ayin reish hay. But in the Torah, the word na'ara is spelt without a hay. So we read it as the word na'ara, but it actually looks like it's male, na'a. So the people of Shechem could have been, the Torah's telling us this. They thought she was a boy because the Torah's telling us this. They were mistaken. And when they realized their mistake, they were apologetic. They tried to do the right thing. Unfortunately, two of Jacob's sons, Shimon and Levi, thought that their sister had been violated. And so they took the action into their own hands. And they killed all the people of Shechem, which caused enormous problems, enormous embarrassment to Jacob and all the rest of it. The moral of the story of this week is really doing nothing achieves nothing and allows bad people to do what they like. But overreacting to the way that Shimon and Levi did also causes problems. Responses must always be measured, must always be honest, must always be respectful. When we go on our marches and we do our demonstrations as B'nai Yisrael, as Yidden in this country, we are respectful. We thank the police. We behave properly. They see our faces. We don't throw chairs through windows or door buildings. It's a measured response. It's quite right. But it's up to our leadership, whether that's the Board of Deputies or the Jewish Leadership Council, to be the ones that speak for us and do the deed. They must be arguing. They must be in the face of those that are in authority, but they don't seem to be doing their job. But nevertheless, we will still continue to demonstrate. We will still continue to behave properly to show everybody that we are a light unto the nations. We are the people who behave properly because our cause is just. We should never be afraid, but we should never be silent. We have to stand up for whoever, no matter what race, what religion, what color people are. We should always stand up for what is right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Thank you so much. So true. Thank you, and so well put, Leigh. Thank you very